Saren the Gamer asked, how are you getting sound to the stream from your Mac? How did you route it? So what I'm doing is, first of all, I'll let you know how it's set up. So I have my Lumix GH4 camera hooked up to Elgato Camlink 4K. That's plugged directly into my laptop. For the visual, I have a USB-C to HDMI cable plugged into my production computer. And that's plugged into an Elgato HD60S Plus. And that's how I'm getting the screen capture. Now, from the audio side, I have Apollo X8. The simplified version is I have an output from the X8, the main output mirrored, going into the Elgato HD60S Plus. And it's going into just the little 1/8" adapter. And that's capturing the visual from the computer screen, and it's capturing the audio from the X8. As I'm talking, that's routed into my preamp, then into the Apollo through the console. Everything that I can hear in my headphones is getting dumped into the HD60S Plus capture card and going into OBS on my M1 laptop. So I got my production 2019 MacBook Pro, and I have my streaming 2020 M1 MacBook Pro. So the reason I have two computers is it was too much of a strain on this computer, on my production computer, to handle both Ableton sessions, Pro Tools sessions, FL Studio sessions, and OBS, Camlink with the 4K visual, and then encoding the video and all that and recording it. It was too much to handle on my production laptop. It's a beastly computer. It's pretty much the best MacBook that you can get right now, but it couldn't handle all that. So that's why I have the second MacBook M1, MacBook Pro, and that handles all the visual tasks. So it's been great. I mean, neither one of them get maxed out. This one is hitting about 27% CPU, my OBS computer, and my production computer, I can pretty much do anything I want because it's not taxed by video. Audio doesn't take up that much processing power. And the great part about it is I have two screens. I have one screen with my notes for the live stream and for the chat. I have this screen for Ableton, FL, Pro Tools, whatever I'm doing. On my second streaming laptop, I have OBS, and I have another instance of the chat. And then next to it, I have my Stream Deck. So I can easily switch between scenes. I can drop something in the chat. And I can quickly trigger apps that I want to trigger with the Stream Deck. I have an Elgato ring light. I can even adjust the brightness and the color and all that from the Stream Deck. As I said before, everything that I can hear in my headphones is being routed directly into the M1 streaming computer. So over here, anything I do, whether I record something on one of my hardware synths, whether I play a sound effect on the SP404, I have an SP404 with all my sound effects. I have a patch bay in the studio, so anything I do, I can route through the patch bay. And as long as I can hear it, you can hear it too. So for example, if I want to play something on my Sub 37, I just route the Sub 37 into the Apollo, and then all of that will get routed into the stream. If I want to play some live instruments on this mic, it'll record in Ableton, and then since it's going through the Apollo console, it'll go into the live stream. If I want to play something on the OP1, plug in the aux cable, route it through my patch bay directly into the X8, and it'll play on the stream. Anything that goes into my preamp, same thing. Anything from my SP404, I have the SP404 routed from the patch bay into an alternate output of the X8. Just to show you, this is how my setup looks. I have my mic on channel 1. These are muted because basically if I want to plug in my streaming laptop, any audio from my streaming laptop, I can route it out and back into a separate analog input on the X8, and then it'll play live on the stream. Anytime I play sound effects, it's going into analog 5.6 on the console. I have this program called Alfred, which I've talked about. It's a new program I got. You can set up key commands on it. So for example, if I hit Control Command A, Ableton pops up. If the app isn't loaded, it'll load. If I hit Control Command C, console pops up. So those are just a couple things that I have set up for quick switching. So I don't need to use a Stream Deck, so I don't need to go to my dock or anything like that. It all just happens lightning fast. And I have this set up for like every single app that I use normally. So if I want to load up Safari, it's Control Option S for a new Safari window. If I want to just show Safari, it's Control Command S. Those are just some things that really help out during the stream, but it also helps out productivity-wise when I'm just working on a day-to-day basis. As far as ports, MacBook Pros, they just don't have many ports. I literally have 2 Camlink 4Ks when I get my other camera set up, plugged into my streaming computer. And if I want to plug anything else in, there's only 2 USB-Cs on the new M1 MacBooks. I have 2 CalDigit TS3 docks, which basically expand your number of inputs that you can plug in. It has like an additional, I think, 2 USB-C ports. You get a Thunderbolt 3 charging port, so you don't need to plug a power cable into your computer. Each CalDigit, I have one for my streaming computer and one for my production computer. They both charge my laptops, so I don't need a power cable. And then I have my production computer plugged into a 4K 32-inch LG Ultrafine. That just makes it easier to see what's going on, because I have like my notes in the chat over here, and then up here, it's real easy to produce. So in console, the mic is going through my preamp, and I have EQ controls on the preamp. And on console, I have the API Vision CS, a little bit of high pass, just a little bit. Mic check, and no low pass. And I have the gate on. That's the main thing that I'm doing. The gate just takes out any background noise. Sometimes there's other studios in this building, so sometimes you'll hear a drummer playing or something like that. So the gate helps with that. And then a little bit of EQ. I'm boosting the top and bottom a little bit, just to give it that mic podcast kind of feel. It makes my voice pop. It's not exactly how I would record a vocal, but it sounds good on the live stream. The next plugin I have in the chain is the CL1B Mark II. It's a UAD plugin. UAD plugins sound great. I haven't been using them much lately when I can avoid using them. Shout out to UAD, but the reason why I don't use them a lot is because I don't use the Apollo as my main converter. I have the Apollo X8 and I have the Twin X, but actually when I'm mixing, I prefer to use the ADI 2 Pro FS because the conversion sounds so clean in my headphones. I care a lot about the output of the sound, and the RME ADI 2 Pro FS just sounds phenomenal. It's a DAC, it's not really an interface, but I love it just for the sound quality because it lets me hear everything really well. So when I do use UAD plugins, I also have a satellite quad, so I can load all the plugins I want. I have like 14 cores of processing in total for UAD. I'm not really using much. I could probably get by with 4. But I have the CL1B, which basically is just a compressor. It just tames the vocals, just sounds better. And then after the CL1B, I have an LA2A. I think this is a legacy one. And it's just capturing 2-3 decibels of gain reduction at most. My SP404, I have a Neve preamp just to give it a little bit of color. It just adds some color to the signal. Sounds cool. I like the Neve preamp on UAD. And then I'm running it through the LA2A. Just for loud sounds, it just captures some of the peaks for gain reduction. So I have 3 chats set up. I have a chat on my production computer when I look over here. I have a chat to the right on my streaming computer, and I have a chat on my phone. So wherever I look, I can see what you guys are talking about. If I'm focused talking about an idea, usually I'm not checking it because I'm focused. I can't read the chat and get an idea out at the same time. So a lot of times when I'm done getting my ideas out, then I'll check the chat, see what you guys are talking about. What kind of mic am I using? So right now at the moment, I'm using an Antelope Audio Edge mic. It's a mic that you can emulate a Sony C800 or a U47 or a U87, all those different types of mics. So I don't use it for that purpose. I use it because it's just what I have. And I'm not doing tons of vocals in here, so I didn't get like a C800. I've thought about it, but I figure it's not worth that kind of investment if I don't have people in here recording vocals all the time. This mic actually sounds really good, just flat. So it's fine for me right now, but when the pandemic ends, I'm probably going to invest in a hardware CL1B and a C800. We'll see. What Elgato capture card do I have? So I have two Camlink 4Ks, and only one of them I'm using right now. And I have an HD60S Plus screen capture card. What kind of cardioid pattern is best for streaming? I have no idea, honestly. I just use the default. This is a stereo mic. It has a capsule in the front and the back. That is because of the type of emulations that this mic does, but I don't use it for that purpose. I just sum it to mono just because it's easier for processing and uses less DSP on the UAD. How do you get more ports on your MacBook, Swan Dives asks? Like I said, I use two CalDigit TS3 Thunderbolt 3 docks. One for my streaming computer and one for my production computer. So that gives you tons of ports. Just from one CalDigit, I get 4 USB-A ports, I think 2 USB-C and 1 Thunderbolt 3. Then you get like a card reader, you get Ethernet. I have a direct Ethernet line plugged in from my internet to my streaming computer. That's about it. Other than that, one thing I didn't clarify just for simplicity, I'm monitoring not through my Apollo, but through my DAC, through my RME ADI2 Pro. It's a super high-end DAC. I love the sound of it. And I'm running SPDIF output from the Apollo X8 into the RME. SPDIF is a digital signal, so everything that's going on the Apollo is mirrored onto the RME. And another thing I can do is I can route any audio in my studio from any piece of gear directly into the RME to get a clean signal. Because the Apollo is a little bit of a colored converter. The RME is just like a mastering grade, very clean converter. So anything I run in analog, if I want that clean signal, I run it into the RME. If I'm working on something like some new sounds or anything like that, I'm running it through the RME for that super clean sound.